Hello everyone. So the thing that actually inspired this video is that I was innocently Googling how to make matcha at home because I love matcha, and I did learn how to make it at home, but I also came across this claim. Matcha helps prevent a lot of illnesses like cancer, eye disorder, infections, HIV, and renal damage. That's a lot of things. And the thing that really got me was HIV, because I was like, oh, I did not know that. It doesn't seem like anything I have ever heard in terms of HIV prevention. No evidence, no sources. It was a completely casual blanket statement. And this happens all the time. It happens in the news, it happens on social media, and as you can see, it happens in the wellness world. Since I am an ambassador for the MediaWise project, we partnered together to make this video where I'll be taking you through popular wellness trends and figuring out how much fact is actually behind them. And because I work in this industry, this is something that I really care about, because these trends are going beyond this makes me feel good and into making serious health claims. And in case you don't know, the goal of the MediaWise project is to teach digital literacy to teenagers. So that basically means what we're doing here today, figuring out fact from fiction online. Our goal is to reach 1 million teens by 2020, half from underserved and low-income communities. And the really cool part is we've already reached 5 million people at this point. That's a lot of people. And to give you some background, MediaWise is led by the Poynter Institute, which is a really awesome journalism teaching organization. It's a project that's funded by Google.org and is part of the Google News Initiative. And in case you didn't know, Google owns YouTube, which is where you're probably watching this video right now. So now that we have some information and some background, I'm gonna start getting into these things that I've seen online, and I'm gonna walk you through how I'm figuring out whether they're fact or fiction and if they're legitimate. Why don't we start off with my little matcha adventure? Does matcha actually prevent HIV? According to the Stanford History Education Group, which is a MediaWise partner, there are 3 key questions that fact checkers ask themselves when they're looking at things online and they're trying to figure out what's true and what's not. Number 1, who is behind the information? Number 2, what is the evidence? And number 3, what do other sources say? So let's practice this with the matcha example. Who is behind the information? Well, this information actually came from a celebrity blog, so that is a red flag right there, because they're probably not going to be an authority on HIV and renal damage and eye disorders. Just gonna take a wild guess and say that they're not an expert in those fields. So we're already a little skeptical here, but let's move into what the evidence is. The blog doesn't link to any research or any other sources. They just kind of put this claim out there without anything else to back it up. That is another red flag. So let's move into what other sources say. You can do a keyword search for matcha and HIV prevention and see what comes up. Through this search, I found a WebMD article that says green tea may help with HIV prevention. But this is something that we'll want to go upstream with. So that means we're going to want to find the original source of this information. Since WebMD doesn't link to the study itself, I Googled the Journal of Allergy and Clinical Immunology green tea and HIV study. I think the most important line here is, by no means should the findings of this study be seen as an endorsement of the consumption of green tea to counter HIV-1 infection. This is something that makes me really sad, really mad, and really upset, because HIV is really serious, and this almost diminishes the seriousness of HIV and is actually, I think, really insulting to people who have HIV. You know, like, oh, you have HIV, you didn't drink enough green tea. That's just not the case. And so I think really going into this medical journal proves that this claim doesn't have fact behind it. Now, in terms of what can actually prevent HIV infection, let's see what the CDC has to say, because this is a source that you can actually trust. HIV can be prevented through abstinence, limiting sexual partners, never sharing needles, and using condoms the right way every time you have sex. You may also be able to take advantage of newer HIV prevention medicines. End scene. Let's move into the next headline, which is, does deodorant cause cancer? Now, this is a really big one, something that has gone pretty mainstream, especially in the last 5 years. It's something that I myself have had a lot of fear around. So let's see how much truth is actually behind these headlines. This article about why you should ditch antiperspirant came up on my Google search. So this is a good place to practice something called lateral reading. This means moving away from what you're reading now and opening up a new tab to find out who is behind the information. This is really about getting off the page that you're on and going to another source. To sum it up, they're saying that antiperspirants contain aluminum, which is a neurotoxin that blocks your pores and prevents you from sweating. And sweating is one of the main ways that our body releases toxins from the body. And when there's no way for the toxins to get out, where do they go? Into the lymph nodes. They also mention a study published in the European Journal of Cancer talking about how shaving your arms and then using antiperspirant right after increases your risk for breast cancer. So let's go through our handy 3-step system. Who is behind this information? Earth911.com. Okay. This is not a familiar source to me, but I'm gonna look into this a little bit more. What is the evidence? They do link to the study that was published in the European Journal of Cancer, but what do other sources have to say? I found some sources. So I looked at the American Cancer Society, which I think is a trustworthy resource, because if you go to their About page, they have a financial section where they are transparent about where their money comes from. And I think this is important to know because it ensures independence. So let's see what the American Cancer Society has to say about this 2003 study. It did not include a control group of women without breast cancer and has been criticized by experts as not relevant to the safety of these underarm hygiene practices. Additionally, they say there is very little evidence to support this claim, and there is no clear link that has been made between antiperspirants containing aluminum and breast cancer. But what about this idea that antiperspirants stop us from sweating and releasing toxins in our bodies? Well, the American Cancer Society is also there for us with more information. The lymph nodes do not release waste or toxins through sweating. In fact, lymph nodes are not connected to sweat glands. Sweat glands are located in the skin, not in the lymph nodes. I will link to the American Cancer Society if you want to check out this information in more detail for yourself. So that'll be down below for you. I just have to say that this kind of information is a big deal for me because I have been so afraid of using antiperspirant for so long. It's just good to know that if I want to wear an antiperspirant, it's okay and that I don't need to be afraid of it. The next thing we're gonna be exploring, do detoxes work? This is a big one because especially in the wellness world, I feel like every year, multiple times a year, there's a new detox that comes out that's like all the rage. For the last few years especially, detox teas have been promoted heavily, and a lot of this is happening through native advertisements. This is something to have an awareness around because the companies that are making the teas and the people who are promoting them are being paid. So it's within their best interest to be talking about these products. And again, these products are going beyond the this makes me feel good category, and they're going into making health claims. So when it comes to native advertisements in general, this means that a post is being paid for. And this isn't necessarily a bad thing. It just means that you want to know what you're getting into. So usually you'll see things like sponsored post or partner or promoted or hashtag ad. So you'll either see this at the top of an article or in the hashtags if you're on social media. But with some things, it can be harder to tell, like with this article. It's talking about all the benefits of flat tummy tea, but there's no disclaimer at the top. But if you scroll down to the very bottom, you'll actually see that the publication is being compensated by the manufacturer. So this is gonna take us into our handy 3-step system. Step 1. Who is behind this information? This article is all about the benefits of Flat Tummy's detox tea, and it lists a bunch of things that it will do for your body. Because they received compensation for this post, we know that at least one of their motivations was to sell the products to readers. Step number 2, what is the evidence for all of the claims around this detox tea and what it's supposedly going to do for your body? The article only links back to Flat Tummy Co.'s website. So that leads us into step number 3. Let's see what other sources have to say. Healthline published a medically reviewed article on detox teas, and here's what they have to say. Detox teas are a widely sold product marketed to help your body expel toxins. In reality, many detox teas just lead to water weight loss by sending you to the bathroom more often. They also go into listing the possible side effects of these teas, none of which seem pleasant at all, and also the fact that a lot of these teas have high levels of caffeine, which come with their own set of side effects, including disrupted sleep. I also found an article on Harvard Health Publishing detailing popular detox trends. Even though this was published in 2008, it is still so relevant to today because you can see the diet trends that are still very much alive today, but are just packaged slightly differently. So they not only go over the different kinds of detoxes, but they also talk about the purpose of the detoxes, the evidence of effectiveness, the risks, and the cost. So you really are getting a much fuller picture here. Here's what Harvard Health Publishing has to say. Much of the weight loss achieved through this diet results from fluid loss related to extremely low carbohydrate intake and frequent bowel movements or diarrhea produced by salt water and laxative tea. When the dieter resumes normal fluid intake, this weight is quickly regained. AKA, it's not sustainable and not something we should be putting our bodies through. In addition to covering popular detox trends, it also goes into our body's own detox system, like our skin, our respiratory system, our kidneys, our liver, all parts of our bodies that actually help to rid our bodies of toxins. I think more and more people are forming an awareness around the dangers of detoxes and diet culture in general, and I think the new community guidelines on Instagram are reflective of this. Whew! I know we covered a lot of ground here today, but I actually really enjoyed this because going through this process, I learned a lot of stuff myself. This is something that I really care about because I work in this industry, and it has actually motivated me to just be more aware of the things that I'm consuming and the things that I'm sharing with people. If you're interested in learning more, make sure to follow MediaWise on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok. And the really cool thing is, if you find something online that you're unsure about, you can send it to the MediaWise team on social media using the hashtag #IsThisLegit, and they'll help you fact check it. Also, I want to say that all of the sources that I cited in this video will be down below, so you can go upstream yourself and read this information yourself and not just take it from me, because that's what we're here for. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any of my future videos coming your way. And also make sure to hit that little bell button so you can get notified. I will see you guys next time. Bye.